Welcome to Concept in Medicine. In today's tutorial, we are going to be looking at the parity formula. In the parity formula, we are going to have a look at two methods. We start with the first one, that is the G subscript A, then P subscript B plus C. And for each of the values in there is a meaning. Let's take the first one, which is the G. G simply means gravida. When we say gravida, it means that you are pregnant. Gravida means pregnancy, or gravidity is synonymous to pregnancy. So when we say gravida, it means you are pregnant. The subscript A simply refers to the number of pregnancies, including the current one. It means that anytime we use the G in the formula, it means currently you are carrying a pregnancy. Then we move to the P, which stands for para. Para simply means delivery. It's synonymous to parity. The subscript B means number of deliveries or births beyond the viability age. Then the question arises, what then is the viability age? When we say the viability age, simply it's referring to the gestational age at which a baby delivered can survive outside the uterus under appropriate extrauterine conditions. And for this gestational age, it varies from one jurisdiction to the other. It ranges from 20 to 28 weeks of gestation. And if you take a country like Ghana, it is going to be 28 weeks. If we take other developed countries, then we are looking at 22 weeks. But if you are looking at developing countries, the viability age is going to be 28 weeks. Now that the viability age is very clear, we are going to be using it to define a whole lot of stuff in the parity formula. Let's move on and look at the other subscript, that is C. C simply means the number of miscarriages or termination of pregnancies. When we say miscarriage, simply it refers to abortions. Alright, before we move on, let's make a reference to the B again. For the B, we said the number of deliveries or births beyond the viability age. But again, you should take note that the births or delivery, it does not matter the outcome. If I say it does not matter the outcome, it means whether born alive or dead. It will be counted as what? The B. Whether dead or alive. If it is dead, we are looking at the stillbirth. So it tells you that for stillbirth, they go beyond the viability age. Any stillbirth is beyond the viability age, and that will be counted as part of the B. Because for B, it is irrespective of the outcome, whether dead or alive. If it is a stillbirth that is dead, we will count it. If it's alive too, we will count it as B. Alright, let's move ahead and look at certain terminologies with respect to the gravida and the para. Okay, let's start with the first one, that is the gravidity. Gravidity simply means being pregnant, as we said, and simply referred to as gravida. Let's look at these terminologies. The first one, we are talking about nulli gravida. Nulli gravida means you have never been pregnant. 0 pregnancies. Then we'll say you are a nulli gravida. The next one is primi gravida. Means this is your first pregnancy. You are pregnant for the first time. Then we have multigravida. So multigravida simply means you have been pregnant for more than one time. You have been pregnant more than once. That means you are multigravida. Then we have a special terminology under the multigravida. We call it the secundi gravida. The secundi gravida. For the secundi gravida, it simply means you are pregnant for the second time. In other words, this is your second pregnancy. Then we also have what we call the elderly primigravida. When we say elderly primigravida or elderly primip, it simply means that the woman is pregnant for the first time at an age greater than or equal to 35 years. So if you are at least 35 years and you are pregnant, we will call you an elderly primip or an elderly primigravida. Let's move ahead and look at the terminologies under the parity. So parity simply means delivery or birth beyond the viability age. Now let's look at the terminologies under the parity, or simply para. So the first one, we are having nullipara. Nullipara means zero birth beyond the viability age. Then somebody will ask, if I am pregnant, that is, I'm referring to a female, if I am pregnant and I had a miscarriage, would I be referred to as a nullipara or a nullip? Definitely, you'll be referred to as a nullipara or a nullip. Why? Because you've not carried a pregnancy beyond the viability age. It is only when you carry the pregnancy beyond the viability age that we can consider you as someone who has given birth. So nullipara includes those who have had miscarriages, or in simple terms, termination of pregnancies or abortions. They are also considered nullips or nullipara. That is, if you've never carried any pregnancy beyond the viability age, we will consider you as a nullipara or a nullip. The next one is multipara. When we say multipara, it means you have delivered or given birth more than once beyond the viability age, which is the 28 weeks of gestation in my jurisdiction. It will be different in another jurisdiction, especially for developed countries. So if you've delivered twice or more, and the gestational age at which you've delivered is more than 28 weeks in my jurisdiction, then we'll consider you as a multipara. So delivery beyond the viability age for more than once, that is 2 or more, is considered as multipara. Then the next one is grand multipara. When we say grand multipara, it means you've delivered 5 times or more beyond the viability age, meaning you are having 5 or more births beyond the viability age. Then we'll say that is a grand multipara. Then the next one is what we call the great grand multipara. When we say great grand multipara, simply means you've delivered 10 or more times beyond the viability age, or you have had 10 or more births beyond the viability age. Now, let's move ahead and look at some examples and how to write the parity formula from those examples. So we'll take the first example. So let's have a look at the first example, which I will solve for you. Then the second one, you solve it on your own, after which I will give the answer. Now, looking at this example, we have a woman who is pregnant for the 5th time, had 2 children who were delivered at 36 weeks of gestation and 38 weeks of gestation respectively. Then a history of 1 stillbirth, which is a fresh stillbirth. Then finally 1 miscarriage. Miscarriage simply means abortion, spontaneous abortion. Miscarriage simply means spontaneous abortion, and that happened at 8 weeks of gestation. What would be her gravidity and parity formula, or simply what would be her parity? So to get the parity formula, remember the formula G subscript A, P subscript B plus C. So all you have to do is to find the value of A, B and C and insert them into the formula. So the first one is A. A meaning number of pregnancies including the current one. And in the question, it said she is pregnant for the 5th time. So our A is equal to 5. Then we move to which one? B. B, we said number of deliveries beyond the viability age. And the viability age, I said in my jurisdiction, is 28 weeks. In this case, we are having 2 children delivered at 36 weeks and 38 weeks respectively, which are more than the viability age. So we are going to have 2. Then again, there is a history of 1 stillbirth. And bear in mind that for stillbirth, whether fresh or macerated, it has gone beyond the viability age. And once it has gone beyond the viability age, it will be included in the value of B. So we are going to have plus 1. Then we go to finding the value of C. With a C, we are looking at number of termination of pregnancies or miscarriages. So in that case, what are we going to have? There is a history of 1 miscarriage at 8 weeks. So automatically we are having C to be equal to 1. So if you insert that into the formula above, then we are going to have G, the A is equal to 5, the P, the B is equal to 3, then plus the C, which is equal to 1. So to have your parity formula, it should be equal to G5 P3 plus 1. That is gravida 5 power 3 plus 1. Okay, let's have a look at the next example, which we are going to be solving, and I will be giving the answer immediately. The next example is pregnant for the 6th time. That is a woman pregnant for the 6th time, has 3 children, all alive, delivered at 38 weeks, 39 weeks, and 40 weeks respectively. There's a history of 1 spontaneous abortion and also a history of 1 macerated stillbirth. What would be her parity formula? You have 3 seconds to solve that. Alright, let's move ahead and look at the answer. So again, always write out the parity formula. That's the gravidity and the parity formula. And what would that be? We are having GA P B plus C. G subscript A, P subscript B plus C. All we have to find is our A, is our B, and is our C. The A, we know that number of pregnancies including the current one, and we were told that the woman is pregnant for the 6th time. So 6 times simply means our A will be equal to 6. Then we go to our B, number of deliveries or birth beyond the viability age, and we are going to be using 28 weeks for my jurisdiction. Alright, so if you look at that, 3 children all born beyond the viability age. So we have B to be equal to 3. Then again here we have 1 macerated stillbirth. And always know that for stillbirth, they have gone beyond their viability age. So that will be counted as part of what? The B. Then for the C, number of termination of pregnancies and also abortions. So here we are having 1 spontaneous abortion, and that will be equal to the C. So to have this simply, our parity formula is going to be G6 P4 plus 1. So it tells you gravida 6 power 4 plus 1. Another trick that can guide you is that always know that if you bring the sum of B plus C and you try to compare it to A would always be greater than B plus C by 1. So A minus B plus C should always give you 1. And that is how you are going to know that you are on the right path. If they are equal, no. Because the current pregnancy does not have an outcome yet. So it cannot be included in the parity. Because parity, we said, refers to delivery beyond the viability age. So once it's not delivered, we don't have the clarity to add it to the B column. Then finally, before we look at the next method, a question may arise that what if there is a twin gestation, or what if there is a twin delivery? How then do we write the parity formula? So with that, if they are twins, how do you go about it? Twins will be counted as 1 because it is a single pregnancy that resulted into the delivery of twins. Let's have an example to clarify that. Alright, let's have a look at this example to clarify the situation of twins. This woman is pregnant for the 2nd time, 2nd pregnancy, and has 1 set of twins delivered at 36 weeks of gestation. How then do we write our parity formula? We know our parity formula is given by G subscript A, P subscript B plus C. Our A is the number of pregnancies including the current one. How many are they? 2. So our A is 2. What of our B? Our B here, how are we going to count it? There is 1 set of twins delivered at 36 weeks, but the pregnancy was just 1 that resulted in the delivery of those twins. So we'll count the twins as 1. So our B will be equal to 1. What of our C? Our C, there were no miscarriages and there were no termination of pregnancy. So in that case, our C will become equal to 0. To denote this, our parity formula will be G subscript 2 P subscript 1 plus 0. So that will become gravida 2 power 1 plus 0, meaning the twins will be considered as 1. In certain scenario, you may want to put into bracket 1 and you put one set of twins. That is in the clinical setting. Or you can even indicate in another form where you say G2 para 1.2 alive plus 0, where it means that if you are saying para 1, it means that we are looking at one pregnancy resulting in one delivery, whether it's twins, triplets, or quintet. We would regard it as one. But to express it that they are twins, we'll say dot 2 alive, meaning 2 alive. How can one delivery result in 2? It is only in a scenario of a twin gestation. But in short, it can be represented as this, where we have gravida 2 para 1 plus 0. Okay, we'll be looking at the next method. All right, let's move ahead and look at the second method. We call it the GTPAL method. For the GTPAL, simply, what are we looking at? We are looking at an acronym for terminologies. G simply means gravida. And again, take note that TPAL together constitute the para, that's the P. In the previous formula, we said G and P, gravida and para. That's what we're talking about. But here, it is more expressive. We are having a gravida in situ, then the TPAL, which is covering for the para. And the TPAL has meanings. And what are those meanings? The T simply refers to term deliveries. And when we say term simply means you are delivering at a gestational age greater than or equal to 37 weeks. At 37 weeks or more of gestation, that is a term delivery. The P means preterm delivery. When we say preterm, you are above the viability age but less than 37 weeks of gestation. Then we'll say you are preterm. Then the A simply refers to abortions, whether spontaneous or induced. Then the L refers to live children, meaning children who are alive. Now, understanding this, how then do we write the parity formula using the GTPAL criteria? Let's look at some examples. The first one I will solve it for you, then the second one you have a go at it. Let's look at the first one. 6th pregnancy. This is her 6th pregnancy. Has 2 live children, 2 children who are alive and were delivered at 36 weeks and 38 weeks respectively. A history of 2 spontaneous abortions, that's 2 miscarriages, and 1 stillbirth. What would be her parity using the GTPAL criteria? So using the GTPAL, it means we are going to write in the numbers by the letters. So in that case, we are going to have how many pregnancies that she has, including the current one? 6. So we have G6. Then the next one is a T, that's term. Term, we said at least 37 weeks of gestation. If you look very well here, 2 live children, but only 1 has crossed the 37 weeks, which is the term delivery. So it means that in that case, for the term, we will have only 1. Then we go to preterm. For preterm, what do we have? 36 weeks is preterm. 36 weeks is less than 37 weeks. So the P would also be 1. Then we go to abortions, which is A. For the A, how many do we have? 2 spontaneous abortions. So the A will be equal to 2. Then the L, how many children are alive? We have what? 2. So 2. So that will give us G6, T1, P1, A2, L2. Now let's look at the last example, which you'll be solving. You'll be pausing the video to solve, and later you'll have a look at the answer. And that one is her 3rd pregnancy, 1 child alive, delivered at 36 weeks, then 1 miscarriage. What will be her parity using the GTPAL criteria? You can pause the video and solve. All right, let's have a go at the answer. So using the GTPAL, how many pregnancies? 3. So we have G to be equal to 3. Then we have T. Is there any child born beyond 37 weeks of gestation? No. So T will be 0. Then we go to P. P, that is preterm. How many do we have? This child who is alive is at 36 weeks, which is less than 37 weeks for term. So we'll have P1. Then we go to A, that is the abortion. Do we have any? Yes. 1 miscarriage, so 1. Then you go to L, which is live children. Do we have any? Yes, which is 1. So using the GTPAL, you have G3, T0, P1, A1, L1. I hope we've gotten it. And I believe we've learned something new today. Finally, before we conclude, the good thing about knowing the parity formula is that should you, as a man, go to the hospital with your wife and you hear gravida 5 para 0 plus 4, then you should be asking questions. That is, are you aware? Are you the one? If you are responsible for the current one, and it means that there has been a history of 4 other pregnancies in your absence, and basically if you are looking at gravida 5 para 0 plus 4, it means that there has been 4 previous miscarriages, either induced or spontaneous. So that will give you a clue to what is happening. I believe you learned something new today. Kindly subscribe to my channel, like, share, and also recommend to friends. And feel free to comment the next concept you would like to see on my channel. My name is Dr. Del, and once again, this is Concept in Medicine. Bye-bye.